One other major thing we did that was kind of unique, we set up 3 foundations. Now, some of the state colleges under the State Board of Education had developed desires for independent fund expenditure for some things, so they had set up the student bodies as foundations. And they ran the bookstore, the cafeteria, and some of the extracurricular activities. We had the advice of a rather distinguished person in the development field. It was Dean Millott, the president of Cornell, came out and suggested that we set up 3 foundations, one to run the bookstore and the cafeterias, another to accept money for scholarships and for projects that some of the faculty might develop and which should come in through a foundation. But he said, you were so carefully controlled by the Department of Finance, very restrictive, that you really ought to have a 3rd foundation, which we set up. The best name I can think of for it is the Cal State Associates. Nils Eklund, the Executive Vice President of Kaiser Industries, and Chet Soda, the Phillips family from the Castro Valley area, and a number of other people helped set this up. It was an off-campus foundation where they did invite people from the college to participate, but as non-voting people, so it was really not subject to review by the Department of Finance. Well, this was very beneficial. We were able to raise some money there and also collaborate with the Auxiliary Foundation for the bookstore and cafeteria. And Mr. Guerin, who owned the Guerin Ranch, which was immediately south of the institution, was very supportive. He had some very valuable property right next to us, 35 acres right south of Harder Road, and he agreed to sell that to us at no interest for $35,000, $1,000 an acre, basically out of philanthropy. This was supposed to be used because it had a running stream that ran all year round as a biological and botanical resource. Since it's been used, of course, it's become a residential resource and now has residential buildings on it for student residences. But that was not its original purpose, and I hope the stream is still running and that the science lab is still in operation. It would be, it probably is because there was a small building that we were able to get some money for to do that. I'll mention another thing that Cal State Associates group was very beneficial in. Congressman Miller, who was chairman of the Committee on Astronautics of the Congress, was very interested in our college. His daughter married one of our faculty, and they had some surplus computers available from the federal government for sale for I think a little over 100,000. It was what was called an IBM 1620 system, and at the time the rules of the Board of Trustees were that only San Jose State and Los Angeles State would be allowed to purchase computers. And this was for administrative data processing for the system, and everybody was supposed to be part of that data system. We wanted a computer for instructional purposes. Congressman Miller thought this was a very good idea. He communicated with the people who had them available and suggested that they think very seriously about our college and our Cal State Associates Foundation, which they did. The Department of Finance, when they found out that we could get this for a very small sum, and that the matching sum could be a little bit of the equipment that was provided as a part of the science building when we were building it, allowed us to put that up as the compensating cost to the feds, and we ended up with a first instructional computer system where you could teach computing to the students and use it as an aid for the faculty who wanted to use it to improve or expand on their teaching. I was always kind of proud of this because these two things in particular, the Garin Ranch, 35 acres, and the computing equipment, both came as a result of having that outside foundation.